When she saw my book, she was like, you're going back to school? My feelings was kind of hurt. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Joy. I'm a neonatal nurse practitioner living here in Houston. I make content about nursing, traveling, living here in Houston, and how to achieve your goals. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, go ahead and push that subscribe button and let's get into the content. Today we're going to talk about a really important topic, which is how to choose your nurse practitioner program. I want you to choose the right program, so I'm going to give you a little bit of information to help you out with that decision. We'll compare online versus in-person programs and talk about what to look for when choosing your program. And I'll share some of my own insight of how I chose my program and what I liked and what I didn't like about my program. And hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have a clear idea about what questions to ask before committing to a program and before making this major decision for your life. The NP program is a very big investment in time and money and energy. The program you chooses determines your preparation for boards, your clinical placement, and your confidence as a provider. Accreditation matters. Make sure your program is accredited. Without that, you won't even be able to sit for boards. Reputation matters as well. Make sure your program has a good reputation. Some programs are known for strong clinical connections. Others are known for flexibility and resources. And some, unfortunately, are known for pushing out nurse practitioners who are not prepared and ready for the job force. So all of these things matter when you're looking at what program to choose. I went to an online program. I chose that because I had a kid, I had a job, I had reasons to not be sitting in somebody's classroom. So you'll have to decide what you need, and if you're that type of person that needs to sit in a classroom, or if you're that type of person who can manage your own time and work online. Online programs offer flexibility. They're great for nurses who have a job, have a family, have responsibilities, and can manage their own time. Usually the coursework is done online, and then sometimes they require you to have virtual classes where you go in and meet the teacher, meet the other students. In my program, sometimes we have teamwork stuff where we needed to do projects together. They would just divide us up and then put us in a group, and we were responsible for Zooming each other and creating Google Docs and those kind of things to work together. Nursing is a really big on teamwork, and so that's a possibility where most of your work is done by yourself, but some of your work is done with the other students who are in your class. You'll need strong time management when doing an online program because you won't have the same in-person accountability. Nobody's going to be looking to see if you're showing up for class or keeping up with your work. It is your responsibility to keep a plan or keep yourself on track and make sure you know when things are due and get stuff done ahead of time. Most online programs do require you to find your own preceptors, which can be stressful and costly. I know a lot of nurse practitioner students who had to pay thousands of dollars for a preceptor. You're looking on all these different sites that help you find preceptors, but it is expensive. One thing about being a neonatal nurse practitioner, we train our own. I didn't run into the problem of having to pay somebody to teach me, thank God, but I know for the other specialties that's a big deal. I'm not really sure why we don't normally charge students to teach them. It may just be because we have such a shortage and such a need for neonatal nurse practitioners. So it's kind of like a job interview where you train. They're watching you, they're trying to see if they want to hire you, so they don't have a problem with training you because they actually need you in the end. If you want to do an in-person program, these are some things you want to look out for. In-person programs are going to have a lot of structure. You're going to have class time, in-person, face-to-face time with your instructors. I'm not saying I didn't have that in my online program. We did have certain office hours that she would set aside, and we would go in there on Zoom and meet with her, go over questions that we had. So you could do that online, but if you're doing your classes in person, you have the opportunity to just go to their office and see them face to face, go over your tests, go over questions. It may be more beneficial for a person who needs that type of structure. In-person programs allow you to build relationships. You actually have time to network with the other students and with your professor. They get to know you get to build more of a connection with the faculty and with the students in your classroom. And networking is a really big deal when you're trying to look for a job, because most of the time it's not what you know, it's who you know. So if you know somebody who's already working at the hospital you want to work at, or already know people who work there or whatever, they can always put in a good word for you. But when you're online, you don't really get to talk to the other students like that. You don't really get to network like that unless your program does have days where you go on campus. So in my program, we had 2 days where you were required to come to campus, and that's where we practice our skills. You had to pay out of pocket for Airbnb or hotel, wherever you want to stay. You had to pay out of pocket for your flights and all those things to get there, and it was required for you to come. And at that time, that's when we got to really see the other students face to face and actually see the faculty face to face and get to meet them and get their personalities. I really didn't want to do that day. I remember it so well because I really didn't want to do it. I didn't want to spend the money. I didn't want to have to go. And there was women coming from all over. There was one student from Alaska, and she had to get on our time to Zoom into our meetings and then to fly in on those mandatory days. It was helpful as far as the skills because we got to practice on cats, how to put in chest tubes on cats, and we got to practice putting in umbilical lines in oranges, and then we got to practice intubating on dowels, and just going through NRP code scenarios, those kind of things. So it was helpful as far as that, but we also had to take a test there, which was stressful. We already had to travel across country to go to this school, and then you have to take a test. So that was stressful. When you go to an in-person program, it may be easier to get clinical placement because those schools have connections with local hospitals. So my program was online, but it also had a connection with the hospital that I worked at. So in order to get into that program, the NNP supervisor had to write a letter of recommendation to let you get into the program, and then you got to do all your clinicals at that hospital. So I didn't have to look for a clinical placement. I didn't have to reach out to other people. Obviously we could if we wanted to try different hospitals and see what they had to offer, but I already worked there. It was already a level 4. I could already get any type of experience that I needed to get at the hospital I was currently working at. So it all just worked out. It was a smooth transition as far as clinical placement for me as an online student. And I feel like a lot of students don't really have that smooth transition. So maybe going in person will help you get more of a connection as far as clinical placements and have an easier time finding them. One of my friends did her nurse practitioner program at another school, and they actually found her clinical placement for her, which was a really good thing. So there are schools out there that do offer that for you, and then there's also schools who don't. So make sure you're paying attention to if they help you find clinical placement or not. The downside of going to an in-person nurse practitioner program is the lack of flexibility. If you're a nurse and you have a family, you have a full-time job, you may need more flexibility. Online programs give you that flexibility. So if you're looking for more of a work-life balance, online programs is going to be the way to go because it's more at your own pace. So if you're disciplined enough, you can get through the program at your own pace, do your work whenever you want to do it. You have the syllabus, you can get everything done when you want to get it done. You know what I'm saying? So when you're looking to choose your program, write down these things. Number 1, are they accredited? As I mentioned before, but this is a non-negotiable. The program has to be accredited. Number 2, is the program online or in person? Do they allow you to go part-time or do you have to go full-time? In my program, you could go part-time or full-time. Part-time was 3 years, full-time 2 years. I chose part-time because that's what worked for me. I was able to still work and see my kid. And then you guys know when I was in my nurse practitioner program, I failed a class, and so I had to sit out a semester, which put me at 4 years instead of 3 years. Child, that's part of my story. If you're curious about my nurse practitioner story, make sure you watch this video. I talk about all the troubles that I went through with my professor and how I failed by half a point and why I don't recommend my school. And I know you're going to ask me in the comments, and I'm telling you now, I don't recommend my school because I don't recommend my school. Number 3 is the cost. How much is it going to cost you to go to this NP program? Nurse practitioner programs can range in prices anywhere from $17,000 to $60,000. So you just have to look at the price breakdown. Is it in-state tuition, out-of-state tuition? Is it a master's program or a DNP? Some people skip the MSN and just go straight for the DNP. That program may cost more or it may cost less. You need to compare tuition, fees, and hidden costs, like technology fees and preceptor fees. You're going to have to look for scholarships, loan forgiveness programs, and jobs do offer tuition reimbursement. So the job that I worked at as an RN did offer tuition reimbursement each semester. I was able to take advantage of that. And then also the current job that I'm at now as a nurse practitioner, that job offers tuition reimbursement as well. So every check, I get money on my check to pay down my student loan debt, which is really nice. I didn't even realize that that was a benefit that I could ask for when interviewing, but yes, that is a benefit. And I'll make a video on the benefits that you could get besides pay when interviewing for a nurse practitioner. If you guys are interested in that, just leave me a comment below and I'll make a video on that. Number 4, when choosing your nurse practitioner program, you want to make sure that they have clinical support. Are they going to help you find your clinical placement? I didn't have this stress, y'all, and I just know I've seen a lot of NPs go through this stress of trying to find a preceptor, try to pay thousands of dollars for a preceptor. This is a really big deal. So make sure that your program helps you find clinical placement, or you already have something set up, because people have had to sit out semesters. People have had to sit out a year because they don't have clinical placement. If you don't have the thousands of dollars to pay for a preceptor, that's a big deal. Like I said, it might not be a situation that NNP students have to deal with, but if you're a nurse practitioner in other specialties, you might have to deal with this problem. So make sure your school provides clinical support. Ask them, does this program help me find preceptors? Does this program charge me extra money to pay for preceptors? Or am I on my own? Ask these questions. This really can break or make your NP experience. I'm just saying, I really want y'all to understand that. Number 5, you want to see if you have faculty support. Do you have lectures? My program did not have lectures, and child, it almost took me out. I promise you, like, not having lectures, you think it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal for a person who needs lectures. I think we got 1 lecture the entire program over cardiac, thank God. But imagine trying to teach yourself off of YouTube University, but you're paying thousands of dollars to learn from your professors. So make sure you have faculty support. That's another reason why I do not recommend my program, because there was no lectures. No lectures is crazy work. My friend who was in another nurse practitioner program had lectures every week, and I was so jealous. I needed lectures. If you are an NP student, make sure you go to Tala Talks, and I'll link it down below. But she's literally the reason why I'm a nurse practitioner now. She has gotten me through every semester, and it's because of her that I actually know how to do things. So I really owe that lady my tuition, not my school. But see if the professors will offer office hours, mentorship. Are they available to answer questions through email? Make sure you have faculty support, because that's very important, y'all. Check the reviews on Google or wherever else you want to look to see if this program is legit. Do you want to spend the next 3 years in this program? Do you want to give these people $40,000, $50,000? Make sure it's a right fit for you. Talk to people who went there. Look up the students who went through this program. See, are they happy? Do they recommend it? The only thing I would say about my program is that I was prepared to take boards. And I can say the same thing about my nursing program. I was prepared to take boards. But that was the main thing they focus on. Can you pass boards? Can you pass boards? Because it's a numbers thing to them. They have to make sure that their students can pass boards. That was how my nursing program was set up, and that was how my master's program was set up. They focused on can you pass boards. But all the other little things got kind of swept under the rug. Make sure that they offer the specialty that you're looking for, and maybe even another one, just in case you get through this specialty and decide you don't want to do it. That way you can just bridge over to the next specialty. Look up how that works. You start a neonatal nurse practitioner program, that first year is literally just all the busy work. It's the theory, the ethics, the things that you're going to have to take no matter what nurse practitioner program you're in. But say you want to switch over to family, then you need to make sure that they offer more than just that one program that you're actually going to, because maybe you want something different. Maybe you want to switch over and then you don't have to transfer schools. You could just switch over to a different program. The neonatal nurse practitioner program is less common. A lot of schools don't offer that program. So if you want to be a neonatal nurse practitioner like me, then you have to make sure that they actually have that particular program for you to go to. And this could mean that you have fewer options to choose from. So start early and make sure you're paying attention to when admission times is and what is required. And number 7, I told you that they focus on this. The board pass rate is important. Are the students passing boards? You want to look for schools that publish their NP certification exam pass rate. It's a good sign of how well they have prepared their students to pass boards. I told you guys that both my nursing program and my NP program focused on making sure the students could pass boards. That was their main focus. So I knew I was going to pass both my RN exam and my nurse practitioner exam based on how strict those schools were when it came to passing boards. Number 8, program reputation is important because employers do care what school you went to. They want to know who trained you. Some schools have strong reputations and some not so strong. Number 9 is important, and it's flexibility, because if you're a parent or if you're working full time, you need to make sure that they offer an online program, because that's going to be a better fit for you. If you feel like you need to sit in a classroom, maybe a hybrid program is a good fit for you. So just see what they offer. Is it all online? Is it all in person? Is there a hybrid option? See what they offer and see what's the best fit for you. Now, when I went back to be a nurse practitioner, I had been a nurse for 2 years, and that's when I decided I wanted to go back. In order to get into the neonatal nurse practitioner, you have to be a nurse in a level 3 or a level 4 unit for 2 years before you can start clinicals. And so it just so happens that I had been a nurse for 2 years and I was fine. But say that you've been a nurse for 1 year, then you apply for the nurse practitioner program. It's okay as long as you hit the 2 years before clinicals start, which can be kind of confusing, but they'll break it down to you once you actually talk to them if your school requires you to wait the 2 years. I know other nurse practitioner programs you can go straight through, but if you want to be a neonatal nurse practitioner, you have to do 2 years in a level 3 or a level 4 unit before you can get into most programs. So I went back after my 2 years, and of course I wasn't ready. You're not going to be ready. You're never going to feel ready. And y'all, if you're not new here, you know I struggle with imposter syndrome all the time. What am I doing? Why do I think I could do this? Why do I feel like this is something I could do? These are the questions I always ask to myself, and I'm telling you, you'll probably go through the same thing, especially if you're a newer nurse, 2 years. You're going to get pushback from senior nurses. They're going to be like, why are you going back to school? You only been a nurse for 2 years. Ma'am, you've been a nurse for 15 and you haven't went back. That sounds more like a personal problem for you, and it doesn't reflect on me. And I'm just speaking from example because a senior nurse that I really looked up to said that to me. My feelings was kind of hurt. But then she came back later in the night and apologized and said what was true, which is true for most people who criticize you for trying to do something, is I've always wanted to go back to school, but now I'm married and I have kids and I'm 30, almost 40, and so I can't go back. And I looked her straight in the eye and I said, girl, we are the same age. I have a kid just like you. You can go back. A lot of y'all get stuck on the excuses of why you can't go back instead of thinking about why you can. And what happens when you do? How does your life change? So anyway, the first year of the nurse practitioner program, we got through it. It wasn't too bad, but once you get into the patho and the farm and the neonatal part, it's pretty rough. I would say I had a lot of days with no sleeping. I cried a lot. I stayed up a lot trying to study for tests. I struggled very hard on how to actually pass those tests. It was a journey that I would absolutely do again, but would I ever want to? No, absolutely not. But in the end, it was all worth it, because when I walked across that stage, I knew that I had fought, struggled, earned that master's degree, and it belonged to me. It could not be taken away. So what I learned in this program is that no matter what, it's going to be hard. It's very easy when you're RN, you're comfortable, you know your job, you go in there, you're able to do it well, you don't have any problems, you're already making your money. It's very easy to just stay in that spot. But if you push yourself to go back to school and get that master's degree, number one, you're going to feel really good about yourself, because think about the percentage of women who hold master's degrees, and then think about the percentage of black women who hold master's degrees. I am one of those black women who hold a master's degree. That is a really big deal. The pride that you feel within yourself that you accomplished something beats all the struggle that you have to go through to get there. Another thing that I learned is that in the end, you need to give yourself grace. You are not superhuman. In nursing school, you won't always have the best grades. You won't always understand the information, and it's okay to say, I don't know. In clinical, I would be so stressed out. Please don't call on me. Please don't call on me. Lord, please don't call on me. And then when they would call on me, I would have so much anxiety that immediately everything in my brain would leave. I wouldn't be able to answer a single question. So I watched a lot of videos on YouTube of how to deal with that. And one thing that they always said was just say you don't know. The world does not end. Nothing happens if you say you don't know. I went to clinical one day and they asked me a question. I said, I don't know. And guess what? They asked another person. The world did not stop. It did not blow up because I didn't know. And that's okay. You're not going to know everything as a student. You're not going to know everything as a provider. You're going to have to look a lot of things up. You're going to have to phone friends. I call my nurse practitioner friends all the time to ask them questions. I call the neonatologists all the time to ask them questions. You're going to need support. So give yourself grace and you can get through it. And if I could give advice to my younger self, if I could tell her anything, I would tell her to put the life that you will have once you become a nurse practitioner, put that life on the mirror. So every time you look in the mirror, you remember exactly why you're doing what you're doing. You see it every single day. You know where you're going. If you know where you're going, it's easier to get there. If you're just going through the motions, I'm just going to school because that's the next thing, it's easier to get distracted. It's easier to get off on a different path. But if you put it on the mirror and every day you see it and you say it out loud, I'm going to be a nurse practitioner. I'm going to live in Houston. I'm going to enjoy my life. Like, this is the life that I'm going to have. This is what my apartment is going to look like. If you keep yourself motivated during classes, when stuff gets hard, when you're crying and you barely getting sleep and you stressed out because you don't understand the information, I promise you, you will get through it. That is the one thing I would tell my younger self. Girl, you're doing this for 40-year-old Joy. 30-year-old Joy is doing it for 40-year-old Joy. And now I'm 40-year-old Joy, so I can look back and I'll always say, good job, girl. Good job, girl. I appreciate you. 40-year-old Joy appreciates 30-year-old Joy. For sure. Always think about long term. Don't just think about short term. Think about long term. What is your life going to look like in the next 5 years, next 10 years? What are your goals so that you have a path set forward for you so you can stay focused, girl? So let's talk about what you need to do before you apply. Make a list of your non-negotiables. What are your non-negotiables for your nurse practitioner program? I'm talking about location, price, specialty, accreditation, all of those. Make a list of non-negotiables. Narrow down the programs who actually meet those non-negotiables. Research the schools who meet those non-negotiables. Have a choice of at least 3 that you can apply to. Talk to current students if you can. There's a lot of students on TikTok and YouTube that cover their journey, so maybe you can reach out to them, ask them questions about the program, what they recommend. Do they recommend the program? Hopefully you can reach out to somebody and get some answers. But remember, everybody's experience won't be your experience. So they may hate their program, but you might actually enjoy it. So take everything with a grain of salt and listen to the facts and not the emotions. Visit the campus if you can. If it's going to be an in-person program, you want to visit the campus and see how things are set up and ran. And if it's going to be an online program, it's not really that big of a deal unless they're having you come in for some hybrid situations where you have to show up some days and then most of your stuff is online. But if you can visit the campus, it's not too far away from you, try to visit the campus. I will say, once I did actually go to the campus, I looked around, I was like, hey, this is a nice school. I was pretty shocked. I didn't realize how nice of a campus it was. It was a nice school and it gave you a little bit of pride in your school. Hey, this is my school, but I still don't mess with them. Compare your financial aid packages. See if you get financial aid, if you gotta take out loans, if you can get scholarships from them. Compare those packages and see which ones line up better for you. The price is going to be high. Always look at it like an investment. This is an investment on your future. Do I have student loan debts? Yes, I have student loan debts. Do I regret those debts? No, because it was an investment on my future. Where would I be without student loan debt? So compare the price, see what works better for you. So that's my breakdown on how to choose the best nurse practitioner program for you. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you want to watch more nurse practitioner videos, I have a whole playlist that you can check out. And if it was helpful for you, please don't forget to comment and share. It really boosts this video so other people can see it. And if you have any nurse videos that you would like me to make, leave me a comment. I always take requests. I always try to get those videos out as soon as possible. Remember, choosing your nurse practitioner program is a big deal. It's one of the biggest decisions that you will make in your nursing career. So be serious about this, y'all. Take your time and do the research. And I will see you guys next time. Bye. Baby girl, you are so pretty, pretty.